if 1 million people hallucinate, it does not mean that you have to hallucinate because that is really what is everyone is hallucinating with. This is what it means to wake up. This is the real definition and the meaning of awakening to the essential nature of our reality. There is no other awakening. Of course, there is gradations, there's densities, there's this, what have you, the degrees of awakening. But that's what the definition of awakening is. So this has to be understood.
It's like too many people, like in this story, say that you're a donkey rather than saying.
Yes,
One
everyone.
will say lioness, but million will say donkey. Like no.
No, you come out of the house, and everyone comes and donkey you into the box, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the way in that altered reality things are. You know? The Plato's cave. The Plato's cave. This is a classical example. Right? Chained, standing back to the light, right? Only able to see the shadows of what is being, what is happening behind their back, and they see these reflective shadows on the wall of the cave, right? You know the Plato's cave example. How many of you do not know the Plato's cave? Okay, you don't. Sorry. All right, never mind.
North Americans.
Okay.
Donkeys.
Plato was the Plato was a great philosopher. He was the student of Socrates. And in his many expositions, one of them is a very famous, in order to give that allegory of that utter confusion, that literally that utter mistaken identity. He gave that example. The Plato's cave is the cave. And the people are chained there, literally. They chained there, their hands are chained, and so that it creates these conditions where they cannot turn around. Okay, just imagine, they cannot turn around. They are facing the wall right in front of them, the wall of the cave. Behind them, there is the road and entrance to the cave, right? That road is being basically, the life unfolds. The horses, donkeys, travelers walking on that road every day. And those who are chained, literally, all they could see is the shadows casted from these travelers onto the wall of the cave. And all they could hear is the sound produced by whatever, like walking of the elephants or all these vehicles are being pushed. Obviously, at the time of Plato, you can imagine that all this was, not empowered by diesel, right? Technology. So, at some point, one of those who is chained, right, somehow manages to escape. Somehow manages to escape. Breaks the shackles, breaks these chains, and walks out of the cave. And for a while, the sun, the light blinds and bewilders this one. But as the time goes by, he or she gradually being adopted to that light, because in the cave you were only seeing the reflective light. Now you are in the light, right? And you see suddenly all these various creatures that previously were seen inside the cave, but seen only as shadows and sounds. And it's unbelievable. But after a while spent outside of the cave, gaining this knowledge, oh my God, the world is much, much more three-dimensional, if you will. Right? Much more to it than we've ever imagined in the cave of the Plato. Overwhelmed by compassion, he runs back to the cave and shouts, guess what? You know what? The real thing is, and he just like tries to relate that. It's like this, it's like that, you know, and those who stand in the cave, all they can see, you know, is the shadow, you know, and the sound. It's, no, don't believe to the shadows. I'm telling you, it's not like that. It's like this, you know. And they you know, this is the classical. If you study a little bit of like even the crash course in philosophy, Western European philosophy, you would have to come across that Plato's cave. It's literally the way of that superimposition, the superimposed reality, reflected awareness, not the real awareness empowered by the real light of consciousness, which is outside the cave. It's to illustrate, to give that example. This is why I said it's like a Plato's cave, that mistaken identity. This little detour to explain, to give you the example of that cave. But it literally stands there. You know, Plato thought that this will help to explain how teaching. Look at what Buddha was saying. It's all pain throughout. Every experience is a pain. Kashmir Shaivism doesn't say that. A very different stand in Tantra. Buddha's teaching is much, much more, if you will, revolutionary in a sense for his time, is because he just dismisses it all completely. He sees into the core of everything, how everything is followed. One quality followed by another quality. Every joy would necessarily have to be accompanied by pain, because that's the way things are. There's nothing that is simply fixed. It's like saying 12 o'clock forever. The clock has to tick. And as it's ticking, it comes on and registers every scope of emotions, feelings, even. I'll give you an example. When the dial over that hand is on the inappropriate, in inverted commas, number, it doesn't matter what you were given. You still feel miserable. Doesn't matter where you are, what paradise, what corner of this planet Earth. If it's not on the right dial, you feel miserable, because that's the nature of experience. This was the teaching of Buddha. The very famous, dukkha, suffering, pain. Sukha and dukkha.
Satisfaction.
So, just want you to sit with that for a moment still. Just with that, with mistaken identity. Why is this mistaken identity? Why? Everything is empowered in this house. Everything is empowered in this house. In my house, everything is empowered by my own awareness. And this awareness does not come and go. Never was the time when awareness was not here. I'm that awareness. I'm that awareness. In pleasure, in pain, I'm that awareness. I cannot have any experience unless that awareness. Hence, I am that I am. Hence, Christ's teaching was a revolutionary teaching. He tore apart completely, like that, tore apart all this religion that existed. He essentially, what he said is that I am that I am was, of course, not the Christ himself. This was by Moses, the uttering, who paved the way to Christ, right? And John the Baptist, and then the Christ came, and finalize that teaching. Finalize that teaching. I'm one with the Father, and so are you. Right? He didn't say, I'm the only one, and you are not. That's what religion did to the Christ teaching. Because they saw, my God, what unimaginable stuff coming. We better stop it. But how can we stop it? It's impossible to stop it. It's too powerful. So let's quickly capitalize on that. Let's turn it upside down. Let's install him. Make him into a king. And the whole culture of Christianity followed. Beautiful culture. No, don't get me wrong. Beautiful, temples were built, right? Stained glasses and painting painted and sculptures cut out of stone. As an artist, I admire it all. But it is the Spirit that created all this time. The Spirit always creates. You cannot shovel Spirit down. No matter what. No matter what culture, no matter what social structure will come, you cannot shovel down the Spirit. It will always shine through. It's time to recognize that. That's what I call claim your own identity. To stand as consciousness.